Hello, I'm Michael Toscano, the Executive Director of the Association of Unmanned Vehicle Systems International.
So here we are on the last day of AUVSI, and a pretty successful event, wouldn't you say, for your first few months as Executive Director?
It's been an honor and a pleasure. On June 2nd, I took over as the Executive Director of the Association of Unmanned Vehicle Systems International. And as you can see here today, this is Unmanned Systems North America 2009. It is the world's largest showcase of unmanned systems, air, ground, maritime. And when I say maritime, that's both on the surface and below the water. It has been a record number event. We've had astounding numbers for attendees, and we have about 230,000 square feet of space that has been totally occupied by a wide range and variety of unmanned systems.
After 20 years plus with the Pentagon, this has to be an exciting time for you to join this organization.
My only regret is that I wish I was 20 years younger, because for the next 20 years, it's just going to be fascinating to see all the growth and application. Now, we've had those words spoken to us many times before, well, the next 20 years are going to be great and wonderful. But what has taken place here now is for the first time ever, as was articulated by Major General Blair Hanson on the very first day, that the United States Air Force will graduate more unmanned air vehicle pilots than they will manned pilots. We have made a transition, we have made a trend, and we have made a commitment to the utilization of unmanned systems. Now, don't get me wrong, when we talk about the military application, there is no doubt in my mind that the men and women that protect this nation will always do the mission that they are given, and they are experts at that. What we provide is a commodity that helps those men and women do their job better, or maybe allow them not to have to go into as much of harm's way as they are. Their job is to go into harm's way and protect this nation, and they do it tremendously.
The stories of people being out of harm's way are just so many that you hear throughout the show, from GDIT talking about their projects to iRobot talking about the responses they've had from soldiers in the field and from family members who said that the robot lost its life.
Correct.
But the soldiers were saved.
What we're seeing now is unmanned systems are an extension of the human being's eyes, ears, hands, an extension of their capability. And this allows those men and women to use these systems in a much more capable way than ever before. And it's not just the military. There are civilian applications, and there are applications that we haven't even touched upon yet, that as this technology continues to mature, it will allow us to use it in aspects that will both save lives and also save money.
When the show comes to Washington, which is every other year, do you notice a different type of energy with the show, or is it just consistent throughout all the different locations?
Like I say, as was mentioned, we come to Washington every 2 years. And the maturation of technology is about 15 to 18 months. A lot of that is attributed to, in the past 20, 25 years, to Moore's Law, where the computational capabilities of computers have increased every 15 to 18 months. That is also pretty true, or aligns well with what we do here with unmanned systems. So if you were to go back and look back 2 years ago and look at the systems, the sophistication of those systems, and the capability of those systems, you will see a vast improvement. One in the processing time, one in the reaction time, and the feasibility and capability of these systems to interoperate and to be compatible with each other.
AUVSI has over 1,400 members, but there's also the worldwide division. Can you speak about that, please?
Yes. Unmanned systems are being affected across the world. When you start to think of firefighting, or you start to think, you looked at some of the disaster assistance that can be done. One of the presentations by the Japanese dignitary cited that they have record numbers, or 20% of all the earthquakes that happen in their country. These are where unmanned systems can help assist human lives in doing what we call those dirty, dangerous, and dull missions that the human beings are afforded not to have to expose themselves to.
In an area that is not normally deemed exciting, logistics has some exciting opportunities with unmanned vehicles, from transport, from cargo. Can you speak to that?
Yes, and actually Lieutenant General Ricky Lynch, in his presentation, gave outstanding reasons of why we should be able to have convoys of equipment, so that we don't have to, one, tie up that manpower which could be utilized in other aspects, but two, also to remove them from the possible dangers of, as they do convoys, from being attacked and things of that nature.
A little bit about the student competitions, because we saw some of the great pieces here and some of the great examples here.
You've struck a nerve with when you talk about the youth education program, you talk about the young folks. This is where it is truly exciting. We start now at the elementary school levels with kits that you can buy through Lego and other companies. We have middle school competitions, we have high school competitions, and we have college competitions. And the numbers of competitions and the participants has grown at an exponential number. We've had a record number of ground members participate, teams participate. This year at Oakland University in Detroit, there was 52 teams that were entered, 48 of those competed for the prize money that was available. When we first started out 12 years ago, that number was in the single digits. And we've seen the competitions go across the full myriad of applications, both air, ground, and maritime.
You know, throughout the show, we've seen some amazing platforms, but we've also delved into the IT aspect, the ground systems,
yes,
the communications from whether it's the warfighter or the people who are operating the systems, and that's a story unto itself.
Yes. When you talk about ground systems, there's three aspects to all unmanned systems. That's where you have an operator control unit, an OCU, and the ideal number would to have a minimal number of those, or one that can operate all three domains, air, ground, and maritime. Then you have the trucks themselves, and that's the air platform, the ground platform, and the maritime platforms, and those come in a family within their own right, whether it be small, medium, or large. And then you have a plethora of unmanned mission package payloads. And that's what you will have, as many of those as you can. And if you can have interoperability such that you can use a payload on an air vehicle, pull it off the air vehicle, put it on a ground vehicle, or put it on a maritime vehicle, then you've got something. But if not, you've got to have that plug-and-play or that plug-and-fight capability that allows the most utilization of those systems.